obviously, if someone's going to coax you out of retirement from acting, it's going to be Martin Scorsese for Gangs of New York playing Bill the Butcher. I'm sure we've all seen this movie a bunch of times. It's one of Scorsese's best. I think a pretty underrated film in his catalog. It's absolutely incredible with Daniel Day-Lewis and Leonardo DiCaprio, just the two leads of this film. And Leo's amazing in this movie, sensational. But Daniel Day-Lewis, what he created with Bill the Butcher, I don't know how he didn't win Best Actor for this. He got a nomination.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But it's probably his most chilling role, most terrifying role. Maybe because of the content in terms of what he's doing in the film, that's why he didn't win. But man, he is the most terrifying character of like I've ever seen.
Can you look up who won over him?
Yes.
And in this role, so he had retired, and then Scorsese he wanted to make this movie, but he couldn't find an actor for Bill the Butcher. He had Leo, but they were having trouble for finding someone who could really pull off the Bill the Butcher role. And then he and his producers were like, Daniel Day-Lewis would be good for this. Like, where is he? And so they reached out to him a few times, and he said no a few times. And then he kind of, I never found their actual story, but in a way, Scorsese kind of tricked him into like getting into a conversation about it. Like he flew him out to New York to like, I think he said under the pretense of like catching up and grabbing dinner in New York and stuff. But I think during that hangout, he spoke to him about the project of Gangs in New York and Bill the Butcher, the character. And I think Scorsese knew that because they had worked together before. If I can pitch him this character, I think he'll be fascinated by it and want to play it. And he was right.
Okay, so the actors who were nominated for Best Actor in the leading role that year, besides Daniel Day-Lewis for Gangs of New York, was Nicolas Cage for Adaptation, Jack Nicholson for About Schmidt, Adrian Brody for the pianist, and then Michael Caine for The Quiet American.
Okay.
So obviously that was when Adrian Brody won, the youngest person at the time to win an Oscar for Best Actor.
Okay, I love The Pianist and I love Adrian Brody in The Pianist, but I mean that's pretty surprising that he won over Bill the Butcher.
Both incredible performances, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of up in the air,
It is. But still, Bill the Butcher, I got to give it to him. But Adrian Brody was absolutely amazing, and I have no problem with him winning an Oscar for that performance.
Yeah, but I mean, Gangs in New York, it's such a good movie about the 5 points in New York and what a Wild West world it was to live back then, and like how fortunate we are to live in the time that we're living in now, especially like when the Irish were coming over at that time, then even after that, and then in the 1880s and 90s when the Italians were coming over to America and the hardships they faced and how difficult it was for them just to see what it was like coming to America, how hard it was to be an immigrant in the 19th century. It's like life and death every single day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And this was even before the Industrial Revolution really capitalized the country. You know what I mean?
Post-Civil War.
Yeah.
So there's like this
Turn of the
weird,
century.
this weird feel even in the northern states and cities. It seems like in this communities.
It's a fascinating character too. Bill the Butcher. He makes the movie, and I love DiCaprio in this film, but it is Daniel Day-Lewis's film, and I think it's one of the best performances of all time. The accent is so incredible when you hear him talk. It's like with this American I can't do it with this incredible accent. The look, the mustache, the wardrobe, the silly looking outfits, and then the hair, the greasy hair.
He's like a wild animal.
Yeah, and he didn't shower at all during the production as well. So his hair was really greasy like that for real. and there's that great story where DiCaprio and Scorsese convinced Daniel Day-Lewis to go out to dinner with them one night while they were filming, and they went to dinner in New York at a nice restaurant, and Daniel Day-Lewis went to dinner as Bill the Butcher, and Bill the Butcher outfits and Bill the Butcher outfit, and he terrified the waitress. And I can only imagine what his order was. Probably just like a rare steak.
Rare steak. I'll cook it myself.
But it's like he has such amazing monologues in this film, some really great dialogue, and he just is a sensational performer. And every time he's on screen, he is just, you can't take your eyes off of him.
That's a kill.
That's a kill.
That's a kill.
It's really, really remarkable. It's an amazing role.
It's one of the most memorable characters in film history, I think, in my opinion, Bill the Butcher, for sure. I think it's maybe his most memorable. I think even maybe more than Daniel Plainview, possibly.
Yeah, you could have that argument.